Listen, most people don't struggle with speaking, they struggle with being understood. You can talk for 10 minutes and still say nothing, or you can speak for 10 seconds and hit someone so clearly, so sharply, so powerfully, that they remember you for the rest of the week. Today, I'm going to give you 9 tiny changes that will make you instantly clearer, not tomorrow, not next year, instantly, because clarity isn't about talent. It's about discipline. It's about intention. It's about the small things you do every time you open your mouth. Let's get started. Clarity starts with energy, not words. Most people think that if they learn the right script, the right vocabulary, the right technique, suddenly their message will become powerful. But that's not how communication works. People don't hear your words first. They feel your presence. They feel your intention. They feel the energy behind what you're saying long before they ever process the content. You've met people like this. They walk into a room and without saying anything, the atmosphere shifts. They speak 2 sentences and it feels like they said 2 pages. Why? Because their energy is aligned, their intention is sharp, their focus is clean, and when your inner state is clean, your outer communication becomes clear. Clarity is not a linguistic skill, it's an energetic discipline. The words are just the delivery system, the energy is the message. The reason most people struggle to be understood is because internally they're not stable. They speak from a place of rushing, proving, pleasing, overthinking, or doubting, and that internal noise leaks into their voice. You can hear uncertainty, you can feel hesitation, you can sense scattered intention. Words don't hide that, tone won't fix that, technique won't override that, but when you clean your inner energy, just a simple realignment, everything about your communication sharpens instantly. Look at the moments in your life when you were absolutely clear. Moments of certainty, conviction, purpose. You weren't thinking about how to speak. Your energy carried the clarity. Your message delivered itself. That's the level you want to operate from every day, and it's not complicated. It's intentional. Clarity begins before you speak, not when your mouth opens, but when your mind settles. Before you say a single word, your energy has already spoken. People can tell whether you believe what you're saying. They can tell whether you own it. They can tell whether you're grounded or scattered. The human brain is built to detect energy faster than language. So when you want to be clearer, the first question isn't what should I say? The real question is what energy am I speaking from? Are you speaking to impress? You'll sound uncertain. Are you speaking to avoid judgment? You'll sound hesitant. Are you speaking to please? You'll sound apologetic. Are you speaking from insecurity? You'll sound unclear. But if you speak from purpose, your voice strengthens. If you speak from conviction, your message sharpens. If you speak from calm, your words land deeper. If you speak from alignment, your clarity becomes undeniable. Energy is the foundation that words are built on, and when the foundation is unstable, the structure collapses. That's why 2 people can say the same sentence, but only one of them impacts the room. The sentence didn't change, the energy behind it did. When your energy is aligned, even simple words feel powerful. When your energy is scattered, even perfect words feel empty. People don't need you to be polished, they need you to be present. They need to feel that you mean what you say. If you want instant clarity, shift your energy first. Ground yourself, breathe with intention, center your purpose, ask yourself, what do I want them to feel? Because the moment you know what you want others to feel, your delivery becomes naturally clear. Clarity comes from having nothing inside you that contradicts your message. When your beliefs align with your voice, your words hit clean. When your emotions support your intention, your tone becomes sharp. When your purpose is loud inside you, your message becomes loud outside you. This is why powerful communicators seem effortless. They're not trying to be clear. They are clear internally. They're not performing. They're not overthinking. They're not fighting their own doubts. Their energy is clean, so their communication is clean. That's the real formula. The moment your inner world stops arguing with your outer message, clarity becomes your natural state. And when clarity becomes your natural state, influence becomes your natural result. People listen, people remember, people respond, not because your vocabulary is impressive, but because your energy is undeniable. You don't need bigger words, you need cleaner energy, you need sharper intention. You need your inner state to match the message you're trying to deliver. Because when your energy is right, your words align. Your tone aligns, your presence aligns, your message lands. Clarity starts long before you speak. It begins in the way you think, the way you feel, the way you breathe, the way you show up internally. When that is mastered, your communication becomes unstoppable. And the moment you understand this truth, that clarity is not a technique, but a state, your entire way of speaking transforms. You stop chasing the perfect words. You start cultivating the perfect energy. That's when you stop just talking and start being heard. Tiny behavioral shifts create massive communication upgrades. Most people think communication transforms through big, dramatic changes, taking full courses, reading thick books, or memorizing complicated scripts. But the truth is far simpler and far more powerful. Communication evolves through tiny, almost invisible behaviors you repeat every day. The smallest shift in how you use your voice, your eyes, your pauses, your presence, can completely change how people perceive you, and the moment you understand that, communication stops being a mystery and becomes a skill you can sculpt with precision. The reason most people never become great communicators is because they underestimate the power of these micro shifts. They are waiting for a breakthrough when what they really need is a slight adjustment in how they show up. They don't realize that a 2-second pause can make their message 10 times clearer. A slower breath can make their voice deeper. A stronger posture can make their presence undeniable. These shifts look tiny, but they create transformations you can feel instantly. Because every behavior you repeat builds a signal, and every signal you send shapes how people respond to you. People think communication is what you say, but real communication is how your patterns speak when you're not paying attention. Your habits reveal your confidence, your clarity, your intent, and your authority more loudly than your words do. Think about it. If someone speaks too quickly, you instantly feel they're nervous. If someone avoids eye contact, you sense hesitation. If someone rambles, you assume they're unsure. These are tiny behaviors, but they create massive impressions, and the best communicators in the world, they master the micro behaviors that most people ignore. They use silence with intention, they move with purpose, they breathe before they speak. They remove unnecessary words, they look directly at the person they want to impact, nothing dramatic, just precision. Just repetition, just small habits consistently aligned with powerful energy. Your communication doesn't change when you say more. It changes when you stop doing the things that dilute your message. You remove the noise. You refine the signal. You cut out the weak habits that make strong ideas sound small. Most people are unclear because they've built unconscious habits that block their message. They rush. They answer without thinking. They talk to fill silence instead of using silence to create impact. They say because their mind is ahead of their voice. They use too many words because they're afraid of not sounding smart enough. These habits create confusion, not clarity, and clarity starts the moment you replace those habits with stronger ones, tiny ones anyone can adopt. Start with your breath. One deep breath before you speak shifts your tone, your pacing, your presence. It turns anxious energy into grounded authority. Then fix your start. Most people begin speaking with weakness. Soft tone, uncertain words, unclear direction. Change that tiny behavior. Start strong, start clean. Start with one clear sentence, then fix your pace. Slow down by just 5%, not dramatically. Just enough for you to think while you speak, enough for your listener to absorb your message. That tiny shift alone can make you sound more intelligent, more confident, and more intentional. Then fix your endings. Don't let your voice drop or fade out. End your sentences with authority. A sharp ending creates a sharp impression. Then fix your fillers. Remove like, basically, actually, you know. Even eliminating them by half will elevate your clarity immediately. These are tiny changes, small, simple, almost invisible, but they build a different version of you, a version that communicates with purpose instead of insecurity. You don't become a powerful communicator by transforming everything overnight. You become powerful by transforming one behavior at a time, consistently enough that it becomes your new communication identity. Every meeting, every conversation, every message you deliver is shaped by the habits you carry. When you upgrade the habit, you upgrade the message. When you upgrade the message, you upgrade the impact. When you upgrade the impact, you upgrade the opportunities around you. Communication is not a talent. It's built on tiny, deliberate choices stacked over time, and the people who rise are the people who refuse to ignore the small things, because small things become big signals. Big signals create strong perception. Strong perception opens doors that words alone never could. Make one tiny shift today, just one. Maybe it's breathing before you speak. Maybe it's pausing for 1 second longer. Maybe it's cutting 3 unnecessary words out of your sentences. Maybe it's holding eye contact 2 seconds more. Do it again tomorrow. Do it again next week. Do it until the small shift becomes your natural pattern. Your communication won't explode overnight, but it will evolve every single day. And when small improvements compound, they create something that feels massive. Clarity, confidence, authority, influence, tiny behaviors, massive upgrades. That's how powerful communication is built. Slow down, simplify, and structure. Three behaviors that look almost too basic, too ordinary, too obvious, and that's exactly why most people never take them seriously. But these three, when practiced with discipline, become the backbone of powerful, unforgettable, razor-sharp communication. Most people speak fast not because they're confident, but because they're afraid of silence, afraid of judgment, afraid of losing the listener, afraid of sounding unsure. But rushing never makes you sound strong. It makes you sound scattered, and scattered communication kills impact. Slowing down is not about dragging your words, it's about owning your space. It's about speaking at a pace that tells the world, I'm not in a hurry to prove myself. When you slow down, you give your message time to breathe. You give your listener time to absorb, you give your presence time to land, and in that space your clarity grows, your authority grows, your influence grows. People often misunderstand clarity. They think clarity is about saying more. But clarity is about saying less with more intention. When you slow down, your words sharpen, your thoughts align, your delivery deepens. You stop talking from a place of panic and start speaking from a place of power. But slowing down is just the first part. You also have to simplify. Most people complicate their communication because they're trying too hard to sound intelligent. They stack words, explanations, details, and extra sentences because they think complexity equals expertise. But the greatest communicators in the world have one thing in common: they make the complicated feel simple. They don't use simplicity because they lack knowledge. They use simplicity because they respect the listener. When your message is simple, it's repeatable. When it's simple, it's memorable. When it's simple, it sticks. You can speak for 10 minutes and leave people confused, or speak for 30 seconds and leave people transformed. The more you simplify, the more powerful your communication becomes. Not because you reduce the depth, but because you remove the noise. Noise kills clarity. Noise distracts. Noise makes strong ideas sound weak. But when you strip the excess, the real message finally stands alone, and that message becomes undeniable. And then comes the third pillar, structure. This is where your communication goes from good to unstoppable. Structure is what makes your listener trust you. It makes them follow you. It makes them stay engaged. Humans don't listen to chaos. They listen to order. They need to know where you're taking them. They need a roadmap. Even a simple one: first, second, third, here's the problem, here's what matters, here's the solution. When your ideas have structure, your impact multiplies. People stop guessing your point and start absorbing it. People stop trying to interpret your message and start understanding it. Structure is leadership in communication. It shows confidence, it shows control, it shows mastery. And when you combine all three, slowing down, simplifying, and structuring, you create communication that feels effortless yet powerful, clean yet compelling, calm yet unforgettable, because slow makes you grounded. Simple makes you clear, structure makes you persuasive. Think of the best communicators you've ever heard. They don't rush, they don't ramble, they don't overcomplicate. They speak with a rhythm that makes you trust them. They present ideas in a way your mind can follow. They take you on a journey where everything feels intentional, steady, and meaningful. That is not accidental. That is a practice, a discipline, a craft. And anyone can learn it. If you want people to understand you instantly, slow down. If you want people to remember what you said, simplify. If you want people to follow your idea all the way to the end. Structure. Most communication problems disappear when these three habits appear. Conflict reduces, misunderstanding fades, presence increases, influence rises. You don't need more words, you don't need bigger words. You don't need to sound like someone else. You need to create space. You need to make the message clean. You need to give your listener a path. Small adjustments, massive impact. Slow down so your voice carries weight. Simplify so your message hits clearly. Structure so your listener walks with you, step by step. When you master these three, you stop talking just to talk, and start speaking in a way people can't ignore. Intent is greater than information. Most people spend their lives memorizing facts, rehearsing lines, perfecting scripts, and collecting knowledge, thinking that the more information they say, the more impact they'll have. But information alone is hollow. Information without intention is noise, and noise never moves people. The truth is simple. People don't respond to what you say. They respond to why you say it. Your intention is the engine behind your communication. It's the force that gives your words direction, weight, and emotional gravity. Two people can say the exact same sentence, and one will change the room while the other gets ignored. The difference isn't vocabulary. The difference is intention. When your intent is clean, your message hits clean. When your intent is scattered, your message collapses. Intent is the foundation. Information is the decoration. You can decorate a weak foundation all you want, but it will still fall apart. People can feel intention in seconds. You don't have to announce it. You don't even have to explain it. They feel it in your tone, your pace, your presence, your eyes, your energy. If your intention is to impress, people feel it, and they tune out. If your intention is to avoid judgment, people feel it, and they doubt you. If your intention is to look smart, people feel it, and they disconnect. But when your intention is to help, people open up. When your intention is to serve, people trust you. When your intention is to impact, people listen differently. When your intention is to tell the truth, your message becomes unshakable. Information doesn't create connection. Intent does. You can talk for 5 minutes full of facts and no one will remember a thing. But a single sentence spoken with intention can stay with someone for years, because intention carries emotional resonance. It speaks beyond the mind, it hits the heart. Before you speak, you need to be brutally honest with yourself. Why am I saying this? Who am I saying it for? What do I want this message to do? If you don't know your intention, your listener won't know your point. This is why some people explain something perfectly and still confuse everyone. They're focused on the information, not the purpose behind it. Their words sound right, but their energy feels wrong. They're speaking from the head, not from the center. But when you anchor into intention, your communication transforms instantly. You don't try to sound smart. You try to make the message land. You don't try to talk a lot. You try to say what matters. You don't try to impress. You try to create clarity. Information becomes powerful only when the intent behind it is pure. Intent sharpens your tone. Intent cleans your structure. Intent gives you confidence. Intent makes your communication efficient. Intent filters what matters from what's unnecessary. Intent makes you choose meaning over performance. It turns communication from an act into a service. People don't remember everything you said. They remember what they felt from your intention. They remember the purpose behind your words. And here's the part most people never understand. Clear intention creates natural clarity. When you know exactly why you're speaking, you automatically speak better. You slow down without forcing yourself. You simplify without thinking about it. You structure your message without trying. Everything aligns because your purpose aligns. Your intent becomes the compass that guides your communication. If your intention is strong enough, even simple words feel powerful. If your intention is weak, even perfect words feel empty. Intent gives your voice a backbone. It gives your message a soul. It gives your communication an identity. Before every conversation, every presentation, every important moment, pause and set your intention. Not a script, not a plan, a purpose. What am I trying to create for this person? What's the feeling I want them to walk away with? What truth do I need to deliver? Once you anchor into that, your communication becomes unstoppable. Not because you're delivering more information, but because you're delivering it with clarity, conviction, and alignment. Intent creates direction. Direction creates clarity. Clarity creates impact. That's the real hierarchy. That's how powerful communication is built. Information is everywhere. Intention is rare. And that's why people who speak with true intention rise above everyone else. They speak fewer words, but those words carry the weight of purpose. When intent leads, information serves, and when that happens, your message doesn't just get heard. It gets felt, it gets understood, it gets remembered, it gets acted on, because intention, pure, grounded, aligned intention, is always more powerful than information clarity is a service. Most people think speaking clearly is about making themselves look good, being articulate, sounding polished, appearing intelligent. But true clarity isn't about you at all. It's about the person listening. It's about serving them with a message that respects their time, their attention, and their mental space. When you communicate clearly, you elevate the experience for the listener. You make their life easier. You give them understanding without making them work for it. That is service, and most people never realize this. They speak from ego instead of service. They speak to impress instead of to impact. They speak to sound important instead of being truly understood. The problem is not the words, it's the intention behind the words. When you shift from trying to be impressive to trying to be useful, your whole communication transforms. Clarity becomes easy when you stop making the message about you. Because confusion is selfish. It forces the listener to do the work you should have done. It makes them decode your meaning, interpret your tone, and guess your point. Every time you ramble, every time you over-explain, every time you add unnecessary details, you're pushing the burden onto them. That's not communication, that's noise disguised as effort. But when you choose clarity, you choose service, you take responsibility for giving your message shape, structure, and purpose. You remove the extra so the essential can breathe. You make your message digestible, not overwhelming. This is why the best communicators are not the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who say exactly what people need, nothing extra, nothing hidden. They respect the listener with clean messaging. They create ease instead of friction. They communicate like leaders, precise, intentional, purposeful. Clarity becomes an act of leadership because serving people through clear communication means you're willing to do the hard work of thinking before you speak. You're willing to refine your words, to be exact, to be structured, to be simple, so the other person doesn't have to struggle. That's what service looks like. Clarity is generosity. You give people something valuable, understanding, and understanding is power. Understanding is speed. Understanding is trust. People trust those who are easy to understand. People follow those who communicate without fluff. People respect those who speak with precision because clarity removes doubt. It removes uncertainty. It removes the anxiety of wondering what you really mean. You've felt this before. Someone explained something to you in a clean, simple way, and instantly you felt relieved, focused, and empowered. That feeling wasn't accidental. Someone served you with clarity. And you've also felt the opposite. Someone who spoke in circles, overloaded you with details, or filled the conversation with unnecessary complexity. You walked away drained, not because the topic was hard, but because the communicator was unclear. Clarity protects people, confusion exhausts them, and when you realize this, you start choosing clarity not just as a skill, but as a responsibility. You begin to see that every conversation, every instruction, every message is a moment where you can either add value or add confusion. You can make things easier or harder. Clarity means taking ownership of how your words land. It means slowing down enough to choose the right thought instead of dumping every thought. It means simplifying without losing substance. It means structuring your message so people can follow without guessing. It means delivering truth cleanly instead of burying it in noise. Clarity is not about dumbing things down, it's about lighting them up. People mistake complexity for intelligence, but real intelligence is making the complex simple. Real mastery is expressing something powerful in a way anyone can understand. Clarity honors the message by making it accessible. Clarity honors the listener by making it digestible. When you communicate with clarity, you become a person people want to listen to not because you speak loudly, but because you speak responsibly. Your communication becomes a gift, not a task. Your words become tools, not obstacles, and here's the deeper truth. Clarity creates connection, it builds trust, it opens doors, it accelerates progress, it strengthens relationships. It makes you someone people turn to not because you know everything, but because you make everything easier to understand. Clarity is service, and the moment you start treating it that way, your communication stops being average and becomes impactful, respected, and memorable. Not because you said more, but because you said what mattered in a way that truly served the person in front of you. These changes are tiny. So tiny that most people will ignore them, and that's exactly why you won't. Because the people who become clearer, sharper, more impactful, they don't wait for big breakthroughs. They master the small things. Clarity isn't a gift, it's a practice. And when you practice it daily, your voice stops being noise and becomes a force. Make these 9 changes, not someday, not later, now, and watch how instantly people start listening, really listening to you.